Hi everybody. Alright, so as promised, I'm compressing two videos down into one. So we are doing a lot of work in this video. But here's the basic rundown of how the cowling gets processed. And in the first video you saw that I did the rough cutting around the scribe lines and the rough cutting around the front to the parts that are overlapping. Here we are matching to make sure, we're sanding and cutting to make sure that the front of the cowling lines up perfect, right? Because it has to line up perfect. Everything else can be sized however it needs to be sized so that it actually fits onto the fuselage. That's fine. But the cowling in the front has to match. So we're sanding all the surfaces smooth. We're taking off excess material to make sure everything fits nice and tight. Once we're happy with that, then we can go and we will put the top cowling onto the fuselage here and start sizing off of that, including cutting to make sure that it fits perfect, right? And then once the top cowling is done, and the reason we do the top cowling first is because there's an easy way to sort of set it in place, right? Much how the front of the cowling here is getting, clecoed together so that it can be fit perfectly. When the top cowling goes in a fuselage, and you'll see it here in just a minute, what we do is we cleco a piece of angle aluminum to the top center line of the cowling, which you'll see there. You can see there are two clecos, and there's also a washer underneath one of them as well to sort of raise it up. And the idea is that it sits on the rear bulkhead of the prop, and that gives you the exact height at which the top cowling needs to sit. From there, you can do whatever you need. Now, what about spacing? Now, Van says to put 3/16 of an inch between the rear bulkhead and the cowling. And that's how you sort of know as you're slowly sanding the back where to stop, right? So, because basically it's going to be take this thing off, sand it a little bit, put it back on, check. Take it off, sand, check. Ad nauseum. Now that we've got that sort of set in place, we've got it taped down. So we've got it taped down past where it needs to be, because it still needs to be cut down a lot. There you can see the little miracle that I've added. So so everyone says, putting the bottom cowling on and off of a 3-blade prop is a pain in the butt. I can see why they say that, but it doesn't have to be so. I've made a little sawhorse out of cheap legs I got from Home Depot. And it sits just at the height underneath the fuselage so that when I bring the bottom cowling in, it sits between the fuselage and that sawhorse. And I put a little soft captain's chair underneath it. So then I can, because I have to do that from the front, then I can go around to the side, grab the bottom cowling, and lift it into place. And it's so much easier. And you're going to watch me do that over and over again. So. Alright, also mentioned in the last video, and I'll go over it now, is the spacing for the MT prop. So here's the thing about the MT prop. If you're looking at it from this angle, notice how the spinner actually goes past the rear bulkhead. And it does so by like 1/4, 3/8 of an inch, something like that. Having studied this online extensively, because the Hartzell prop, the plans show that the cowling gets spaced off of the rear bulkhead for the Hartzell prop because the spinner ends at the end of the bulkhead. Here, it goes past the bulkhead. Nowhere online have I seen anyone that uses an MT prop and spinner having cut the bulkhead back, or having cut the spinner back. So, in that regard, we are sizing this and shaping it so that it is off of the spinner, not the bulkhead. Because I am not sanding that Kevlar spinner down. That is not happening. Absolutely not. So yeah, this is the part where it's just sand, take it off, put it back on. Over and over again. But it is totally worth it. Alright, that's a lot of explaining. So yeah, we're just going to keep doing that until we're happy, and then we will be able to start working on the bottom one as well. So. Oh yeah, one other thing, definitely make sure that you put masking tape on the spinner or that little piece of angle aluminum that you have clecoed to the top. Might rub a little bit. Ask me how I know. Also, And yes, you will be drilling 2 holes in the top of the cowling. Don't worry, you're going to fill it full of epoxy and flocks later, so you'll never even notice it was there. All right. In the next video, which I'm actually going to put out 2 today because I've been absent, we will go over more of the cowling, and I'll talk about putting the wings on. So thank you for joining me, everyone. Have a good Tuesday season.